no place like the Cube.
Coming across your airwaves, dance with me. It's an intersection all day. And it's gonna bring you the weekly.
Family, is the news overwhelming? Is it just too much? Well, I get you, and I got you.
Yeah.
Family, this is your favorite queer radio personality, Anna Deshawn, and this is Queer News, your favorite weekly news pod where race and sexuality meet politics, culture, and entertainment. This is your number one stop for queer news done right, only on E3 Radio.
We rebuild from ourselves. We rebuild from the ground up. How many of you heard your grandmother's you know so-and-so, they hit it. Girl, they digging a house. They building that house from the ground up.
All right.
Like, okay, Grandma, you right. From the ground up. And so we build from the ground up what it is we want to see in our lives. And if all of us in this room want to see peace in our communities, we want to see our young people getting the education they need and deserve, we are the voices to create it.
All right.
Not somebody else up the street or down the street or around the corner. It is you and I. It is our community that we must create and keep creating and nurturing, because creating community and having community is what my life is about.
Now, each week in February, we're celebrating Black History Month by highlighting an important queer historical figure in the Black community. This week's highlight goes to Vernita Gray. Now, fun fact, I had the opportunity to interview Vernita a couple of times many, many moons ago, and it was just always an honor. And let me tell you why. Vernita was an activist, a poet, and beloved by the Chicago LGBTQ community. She fought fiercely to uplift and protect the most vulnerable amongst us. In the early 1970s, she was instrumental in forming the first lesbian caucus of the newly formed Gay Liberation Organization. She was also an early editor and writer for Chicago's first lesbian newspaper, Lavender Woman. She also operated her own hotline out of her apartment to assist queer people in need. Y'all, the number was FBI-list. Like, literally no one could forget the number. FBI list. She said, and I quote, "This was before voicemail and answering machines, so my phone was literally ringing all the time. People were calling me at 1 a.m, at 2 a.m. I'd have people calling me to say that they were about to commit suicide. I had people looking for tricks. I had people asking me for a date. I had people asking me to help them meet somebody." Family, eventually, Vernita had to turn that phone off and move from that apartment to regain some sense of peace and privacy. But as we all looked back, we realized that she was the first LGBTQ hotline. She created the first LGBTQ hotline here in Chicago. In 1992, she was inducted into Chicago's LGBT Hall of Fame, and in 2013, she and her partner became the first same-sex partners to wed in Illinois. Now, I told you she was a writer, and her poems exude a yearning that is desperately lacking in the era of today's lovers. So, family, I'm going to leave you with an excerpt from one of Vernita's poems. This one is called Sweet 16. This journal of poetry is a celebration of my 16th anniversary. Out of the closet and into the streets. Coming out, a celebration of myself, a self I have nurtured, my sultry separatist, self, strong, Black, woman who loves women. Thank you, Vernita. Thank you. Now, QCrew, what's going on? First, I gotta thank everybody who has contributed to my Help Me Get to the Ambies Fund. Okay, we are now up to $555. Thank you, Diane, Q, Kim, Danny, Christy, Julie, Becky, Carolyn, Lisa, Susan, Dominic, and Laren. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And QCrew, you already know your commitment helps me to cover the cost of our editor, Ryan, who I wouldn't want to do this podcast without. And if you enjoy this podcast and you got $5 a month, join the QCrew, okay? Because if you believe in the work we do, if you believe LGBTQ stories need to be amplified, and you love and respect how I report on the news and tell our stories, join the QCrew. A link is in the show notes, okay? And don't forget, the Queer News tip line is open for you. If you got something you want to promote here, leave me a voicemail. I'll play it like an ad. Now for the news. In top news, we have a roundup of anti-trans laws states are attempting to pass. In politics, we remember Jay Lee and stand with California as they fight for trans youth. In culture and entertainment, the National Rainbow College Fund launches their 2026-27 scholarship program. And Magic: The Gathering, players raise more than $600,000 for trans lives. Let's get into it. For our top story this week, we've rounded up 4 anti-trans laws that states are trying to pass in 2026. While living in this hellscape, it's important and critical, honestly, for us to stay informed and up to date on the laws coming for our community. Let's start with Kansas. Bills SB 244 and HB 2426 are making big strides towards the Senate. These bills would allow private citizens to act as bounty hunters, y'all, encouraging them to search for trans people utilizing private business restrooms and sue them for as much money as possible. Now, I'm about to read you a little excerpt from SB 244, and it's dense, okay? So just hold on, but give it a listen, all right? It says, any individual who, while accessing a multiple occupancy private space designated for use only by such individual's sex, is aggrieved by the invasion, the language in this stuff, y'all, is aggrieved by the invasion. Someone going to the bathroom is an invasion. I'm sorry, I digress. I'm reading. Is aggrieved by the invasion of such individual's personal privacy or is otherwise harmed by a violation of this section by an individual of the opposite sex may bring a cause of action against such individual of the opposite sex. In bringing such action, the individual may seek either actual damages or liquidated damages. The diction of the bills are so vague that anyone using their preferred bathroom, locker room, etc. in public and or private spaces could be sued. As of February 3rd, this bill has been introduced to the governor, and that's where it lies at the moment. Now, we fully expect Democratic Governor Laura Kelly to veto the measure, but there appear to be enough votes in the Republican-led legislature to override that veto. So if you're listening and live in Kansas, time to call your legislators, okay? SB 244 and HB 2426. We don't want nothing to do with this, okay? Now, on to Nebraska. They are also trying to implement a whole slew of anti-trans laws, including bathroom bills for state-owned buildings such as colleges, restrictions on gender-affirming care, and the possible ban of HRT for youth under 19 years old. Nebraska lawmakers have their eyes on trans youth, and if bills LB 731 and LB 732 come to pass, youth may need to leave the state to receive the gender-affirming care they need. Both bills were heard on January 28th and 29th, and local community organizers such as Nebraska Appleseed implore the community to reach out to lawmakers to educate them on how these bills will have a harmful impact. So if you're listening and you live in Nebraska, you know what I want you to do? I want you to call your legislators. This is for LB 731 and LB 732. All right, come on, Midwest, y'all are wearing me out. In Indiana, Bill SB 182 has just passed the Senate. The bill targets bathrooms, birth certificates, and incarcerated trans people in a barrage of anti-trans legislation. Specifically, the bill would mandate that incarcerated individuals must be placed in a facility that corresponds with their sex assigned at birth. This new bill would allow anyone to sue individuals or facilities such as colleges who are in violation of the bill. The ACLU Indiana opposes this bill and encourages everyone to do the same. So if you're listening and live in Indiana, call your legislators. Family, and we're still not done. These coordinated attacks have been going on for probably the last 5 years, have been so well funded. The lobbyists in each of these states are so well funded. And we have a complicit White House. And here we go for our last anti-trans bill that you shouldn't be aware of. As if Minnesota hasn't already been through enough, the Trump administration is targeting trans athletes in the state. The Department of Education and the Department of Health and Human Services released a joint statement. And of course, they misgendered everybody in here. So warning for that. It says, they announced that the Minnesota Department of Education and the Minnesota State High School League are both in violation of Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972. The joint finding determined that over the course of several years, the Minnesota Department of Education and the Minnesota State High School League allowed male athletes to compete on the girls' alpine ski team, the girls' Nordic ski team, the girls' lacrosse team, the girls' track and field team, the girls' volleyball team, and the girls' fast pitch softball team. Now, Minnesota is one of 23 states where trans girls are allowed to compete in high school and college sports. The Human Rights Campaign Communications Director Laurel Powell said this in a statement. The Trump administration continues to rely on blatant federal overreach and petty bullying to steamroll states into complying with their discriminatory agenda. And honestly, there really is no other way to put it. They are bullying these states. And Minnesota does not look like it's going to back down to the Trump administration anytime soon. It's not like they ever have. And I respect it, okay? And with Governor Walz and other like-minded legislators who are committed to the humanity of trans folks, yeah, they got a fight on their hands, okay? And I love that for us. For our next story, we're going to take you back to 2022, when a cherished member of the LGBTQ plus community in Oxford, Mississippi, Jay Lee, vanished without a trace. Now, his remains were found just last year, and for years, his family searched for answers, and now things have been revealed. Last week, Dateline released a 2-hour episode titled Bringing Jay Home, detailing Lee's disappearance and 2 trials that led to the conviction of Sheldon Timothy Harrington Jr., Lee's murderer. Harrington is an Ole Miss alum who was charged with second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. In his first trial back in 2024, he pleaded not guilty, but that trial resulted in a mistrial in part due to a lack of physical evidence. Lee's parents, though, they continue to pursue the truth. When human remains matching their son's was discovered in February of last year, the trial was reopened and Harrington finally confessed. The judge sentenced Harrington to 40 years in prison for second-degree murder. Lee's parents have pushed to introduce a bill that will require tech companies to share user data with law enforcement and parents when someone under 21 goes missing. This bill is titled the Jay Lee Information Bill, and their parents aim to cut down on the time it takes for tech companies to share valuable information with investigators with this bill. Jay Lee's father believes that extra time it took to retrieve the information for his son's investigation gave Harrington ample time to tamper with valuable evidence. Jay Lee's father confessed that, truth be told, I don't think Apple would have been responsible for my son's death, but they're definitely responsible for his decaying body laying out there in that field. There is nothing like parents on a mission about their children. And they've turned this awful, heartbreaking situation into the Jay Lee Information Bill that will no doubt help parents in the future. Jay Lee's loved ones remember him as one of a kind, confident, and joyful spirit. If you see any pictures of Jay Lee, you will see all of that wrapped up in one, okay? Rest in power, Jay. For our last political story today, one of the largest hospitals that offer gender-affirming care to youth in the state of California, Rady Children's Hospital, announced last month that they no longer be offering those services. Of course, this is a devastating blow to trans youth in California as the hospital served, get this, family, over 1,900 patients seeking gender-affirming care, with approximately 1,400 of those patients under 19 for the past 14 years. In a written statement by the hospital, they alluded to increased pressure from the current administration, saying, "These developments affect our role and responsibilities as a provider, participating in federal programs such as Medicaid and Medicare, which are essential to caring for all children and families in our communities. For these reasons, we will no longer be providing gender-affirming medical interventions, procedures, and prescriptions." So when we see statements like this, family, we really do have to read in between the lines because they can't say what they really want to say. And so when I read this and they mention their role and responsibilities as a provider, participating in federal programs such as Medicaid and Medicare, what we know is that the Trump administration has been bullying these hospitals, right? The same way they bully states into these laws, they will pull their federal funding. So these hospitals and these institutions are having to choose between serving our trans siblings as it pertains to gender-affirming care or having the ability to serve all of the people who are on Medicaid and who are on Medicare. What an awful decision for anyone in leadership to have to make. And when you look at the numbers, 1,900 patients, that is a lot. But can you imagine how many patients are on Medicaid? Can you imagine how many patients are on Medicare? It is a no-lose situation. And it's awful. It really, really is awful. Now, the state of California is suing them. California Attorney General Rob Bonta is leading the lawsuit against Rady Children's Hospital. Bonta's leading complaint aims to, quote, address Rady Children's Health unlawful refusal to fulfill its legal obligations, leading to the detriment of its patients. Rady Children's Hospital was a part of a merger with the Children's Hospital of Orange County. And this move to stop offering gender-affirming care is a direct violation of that merger. Bonta pointed out that in the fine print of the merger, it included a requirement that Rady maintain existing levels of specialty healthcare services, including gender-affirming care through 2034. Now that's a pretty gangster point to put into this merger. I think that's pretty gangster. I love it. Okay. Now, affected families and supporters of the trans community gathered on Saturday to protest at Rady Children's Hospital. The nonprofit organization, Trans Family SOS, led chants with outraged parents on the front steps of the hospital, and some of the hospital staff joined in support. Now, we're going to keep an eye on this lawsuit and update listeners as California. What up, Cali? Y'all are our number 2 listening market, okay? So I know y'all are listening, and we'll keep following this case as things unfold. You know, as I report on these cases, sometimes I think that these hospitals, they fight for as long as they can, and then they make these decisions hoping that an attorney general like Rob Bonta will then file a lawsuit that forces them to have to do it, that can temporarily hold off the federal government. Sometimes I think that it is the only way that they can truly continue to do what they probably want to continue to do, is if the courts get involved and someone is able to fight them. This is why it is so important, if you can give, that you give. Because it costs so much money to fight the federal government. It takes so much energy to fight the federal government when they are so hell-bent on making sure that our trans sibs get erased, truly, from public life. All right, can we take a break? Politics, man. The politics of today is nothing like the politics that I grew up with. It's wild out here, okay? So let's take a quick break. All take a collective deep breath. And we'll get back. Let's get into some culture and entertainment. We got some fun news to share, okay? If you're listening to this, it means we didn't sell this ad space. If you're listening to this, it means running ads on our podcast can actually work. You see what I did there? Do you need some promo? A little amplification? Hit us up at info@e3radio.fm. That's info@3radio.fm. We have a platform. You should use it. Did you know we had a newsletter? Yes. The Queer News Podcast has a weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday. There's a special newsletter for the QCrew, but there's a free newsletter for absolutely everybody. So if you want to stay in the know about what I got going on, what I got to say unfiltered, and just a list of all the stories covered every single week with time codes, you got to subscribe to the newsletter. A link to subscribe is in the show notes. Welcome back to the show, family. Now let's get into some culture and entertainment. This first story I'm excited to share. The National Rainbow College Fund. Did you even know that there was a National Rainbow College Fund? Well, there is. And they have launched their 2026-27 scholarship program. Now, the National Rainbow College Fund is powered by the San Diego Foundation, one of the largest community foundations in the United States, and a leading scholarship provider in California. The fund supports efforts to reduce educational disparities for students who have faced barriers related to sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, and is open to all applicants and allies who support these principles. Now, the fund is going to award 200 selected California students a combined total of $500,000, which averages out to $2,500 per student. And that $2,500 can go a long way these days because the price of college is beyond expensive. In a survey conducted by the fund last year, they found that the top 3 areas where people needed assistance were with finances, housing, and food insecurity. Fortunately, the fund scholarship can be used for educational resources such as books, tuition, and room and board, to name a few examples. In addition to the scholarship, they've launched a student advisory council so that future students can voice their needs and opinions on the future of the scholarship program. In the wake of funding being revoked for so many LGBTQ plus people and orgs in education due to this current administration, this is vital that we support funding for education in any way that we can. Now, applications close on March 4th. And those interested in applying can do so at rainbowcollegefund.org/apply. Now for our last story, this is a fun one, okay? There is a card game that is gathering more than magic. It's gathering funds that will benefit trans lives. Now this game is called Magic: The Gathering. Y'all know I had to look this up, right? I had no idea what this is. And let me tell you what it is. It is the world's first and most popular fantasy-themed trading card game, okay? And Brian Lewis, aka The Professor, organized the fundraiser on his YouTube channel, Tularian Community College. It went from February 4th to February 7th, and this team and the YouTube channel collected donations on behalf of the organization Trans Lifeline. Now, Trans Lifeline is a grassroots, peer-run hotline and micro grants organization providing direct emotional and financial support to trans people in crisis for the trans community by the trans community. We love it, okay? Now, donors were entered into raffles to win prizes such as collector booster boxes of Lorwyn Eclipsed, child, all this magic language, okay? And other collectibles from the card game Magic: The Gathering. Other members of the card game community joined in by offering exclusive collectibles from their own collections as prizes donors could also win. Now get this, as of Saturday morning, the fundraiser has raised over $600,000 for Trans Lifeline. $600,000 because of this game called Magic: The Gathering. It's amazing. This is breaking the record from last year, okay? And in a heartfelt message on Blue Sky, here's what the professor had to say to the Magic the Gathering community. From everyone here at Tolarian Community College and to the larger Magic the Gathering community, thank you. In these often scary and dark times, you have added a little more light. You have all come together to say our trans friends and families that they are loved and that they are not alone. From the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful. When we gather together, we can make magic. Yo, what a cool way, first off, to raise money, but also to save lives. While the giveaways are now closed, you can still donate to Trans Lifeline by visiting their website. It's give.translifeline.org, okay? Start there, you'll find everything else. I love when we come together. And given everything I covered during our political portion of this episode, having a Rainbow College Fund, having people raising money for a Trans Lifeline, we have to. We have to counteract all the bad with the good. And we're doing it. We're doing it. They cannot erase us. It's literally impossible. All right, family, you know it's time for Anna's Got a Word because Anna's always got a word. And gospel music, you already know I'm very grounded in my faith. And this song by Kirk Franklin called Road Trip, I shared with a friend and I began to think like, I want to share it with y'all too. Hopefully it encourages you the way it encouraged me this week, okay? The words go, pack a smile because this road won't be easy. Doubt will come, believe me. Sometimes you'll wonder if it's all right. Hold on tight. It's about to be amazing. When you see what God is making, I can't wait for you to tell me that it's all right. Travel light and leave room for tomorrow. Expect delays and sorrow. Avoid left turns. Don't forget what's right. Pray always. Listen to that voice above you. Only let folk ride that love you. See, you've come too far. You've got to wrap on tight. But every time that you've been through, for His glory, God is using you. See, it's only in the darkest night that you really see the stars shine bright. Whew. Family, it gets dark. It gets dark a lot. But child, when you see that light, it's like the light has never been so bright. But you got to hold on to see it, okay? So you just keep holding on. Your breakthrough is coming. Till next week, family. Peace. If you've enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna Deshawn. Podcast editing by Ryan Woodhall. And brought to you by E3 Radio and distributed on The Cube. We are Queer News Done Right.